Welcome back to Jama and George. I'm Jama and this is Hayden George. And today we've got the play-by-play voice of the Red Wolves, Matt Stolz. And so, Matt, will you go ahead and tell us a little bit about what you do for Arkansas State?
Well, I'm the radio play-by-play voice of the Red Wolves. I've been doing it the last 12 years now. I do all the play-by-play for football, men's basketball, and baseball. We've got a network of 17 stations across the EAB Red Wolves Sports Network from Learfield, and it's something that I enjoy tremendously.
So can you talk about how you got started doing play-by-play?
Well, going back to, just what interested me in play-by-play to begin with, go back to when I was about 8 years old. I'd play catch in the backyard with my dad at night, and we'd had a little transistor radio that we'd set up on the back porch, and we'd be listening to Texas Ranger games every night. And I just remember, how great that was. It just kind of brought everything to life to me. It made me feel like I was at the game, and that's something that I've always dreamed of ever since. I wanted to be that person, kind of bringing the game to life, if you will, and I really got into it as a freshman at the University of North Texas, which is a very good broadcasting school, and I was able to go on the air my first week freshman year. I went to the student radio station there, KNTU, and I was on the air that first week and really have been ever since.
Awesome. So what kind of brought you about coming to A-State and working for the Red Wolves?
Well, my first year was back in 2005. And at that time, I was 27 years old. I was the youngest Division I play-by-play football voice in the country. Now, I'm far from that now, but it was something that I got into back in that 05 season. And in that first year, we actually won a conference championship in football. So went to the New Orleans Bowl that year. So we've had a lot of success since then, but that was kind of what brought me here to Jonesboro and to Arkansas State. It was an opportunity to become a play-by-play voice.
Now, for those of our viewers that may not know, Matt, you have a color commentator for football games, but you do men's basketball and baseball solo. So can you kind of talk about the differences in doing a broadcast with a color man as opposed to doing it by yourself?
Well, that's a good question. I, have been used to, over the years, working with a color analyst. And for a very long time, I worked with a man by the name of Bill Keedy, who was a legendary high school coach at Newport. And he was a guy that was part of our football broadcast for about 15 years. And for those last 10 years he was around, I was able to be the play-by-play voice along with his color. The last 2 years, I've worked with somebody different after his passing, and a couple of years ago I worked with Tom Castelaw, a former player here, and then this past year Tim Allison came in, also a former player at Arkansas State. So we were able to work together. I think with football it's more important to have a color commentator just because there's so much going on and things that are happening away from what I'm watching. I'm always watching the ball and what's happening with it during the course of a play. But obviously with 22 players on the field at the same time, there's so many other things happening, and it helps, and it's a necessity to have that color commentator in football. Now, in basketball and baseball, you're right. It is something that I've done on my own for a very long time. I have worked with color analysts in the past for basketball and baseball, but it's something where I guess I've gotten used to it over the last 12 years, just being by myself.
So, basically, you travel a lot, right? You get to travel with the Red Wolves. So what kind of celebrity encounters, or have you got to meet anyone that's really sticks out to you in the past or recently even?
As far as celebrity encounters, I'm with the team, so I see whoever we're playing. And, I think a lot of what we look forward to when we go on the road is seeing some of these big venues that maybe we see during football season. I've been able to call games at places like Alabama and Auburn, Texas A&M, Texas, Tennessee, Army and Navy are two of my favorite locales that I've been able to go and visit in the past and call games from. So those are the things that I look forward to, just the venues. And I guess kind of to answer your question, that's the kind of the celebrity when you're looking at football and what you look forward to. You like to be a part of those environments. You look back at past football seasons, and we've been able to go into some great environments. Mentioned those earlier, but the win at Texas A&M back in 2008 was fantastic, one I'll remember forever. The bowl games that we've been able to go to and call over the years. I'll never forget that first bowl win against Kent State a few years back in the GoDaddy Bowl, and Q-Sean Lee making the game-winning tackle in the final minute of the ball game to kind of clinch that victory. And then, just this past year in the Cure Bowl, going to Orlando and playing a UCF team. In that bowl game, it was just a great atmosphere for our guys to be in, and a game that we completely dominated. Kind of a great way to catapult into this next season. So I think a lot of folks are excited because of that, even more excited about this upcoming year.
Now,
sure.
You've talked about a lot of games that you remember calling. What players from, I'm going to kind of put you on the spot, but what players from each sport have you, I guess, enjoyed commentating the most for?
Well, there's so many. I think that the guys that immediately come to mind as far as performance on the field and just being able to forge relationships with. Ryan Applin is one of the greatest players in our football program's history, and just watching his entire career and just seeing him go from a freshman to a two-time Sun Belt Conference Player of the Year was great to see him, and just break pretty much every record in the Arkansas State record book. I'll remember Ryan. Guys like on the basketball side, Trey Finn was an outstanding basketball player for us that was an Arkansas product. Went to Little Rock Hall High School and was just a fantastic young man. Number one, it was always fun to be around him, but he was a guy that was a great defender, a very good rebounding guard, and a great scorer as well. And then you look at guys in the past as far as baseball goes, and I really enjoy calling baseball. We've had some guys go on and become great success stories. Guys like Josh Yates, Todd Baumgartner, who both had All-American type careers as players, but are both now involved in FCA in some form or capacity. And then you look at a guy like Daniel Wright, who graduated here in just the past couple of years, a former walk-on here at Arkansas State. A fantastic student, but now he's in the Los Angeles Angels organization. Back in September, towards the end of the year, he was able to pick up his first major league win. So just guys like that. I mean, you love those kind of success stories that you can kind of go back and look back on.
What advice do you have for someone that's wanting to get into sports commenting, whether it's radio or broadcast?
Well, I think that you want to get involved with as many things as you possibly can. And, anytime I'm talking to students and they're asking me that same question, I tell them that, like me, I went to a student radio station as soon as I got to campus, and there was always things to do. I know we've got more avenues for students at Arkansas State than most any other school in the country. You've got a great staff in the media department, and certainly there's a lot of things to do, whether it be radio, whether it be ASU TV, ESPN3 broadcast. There's not too many schools around the country that have that many things to do for students. So if you want to get involved, you've certainly got those opportunities here at Arkansas State.
And one more thing before we let you go. I personally can't let you go without mentioning the rough start your Texas Rangers are off to. 0-3. It's not looking good right now. Is there a little bit of panic going on down in Texas, or? Well, I know there's a lot of baseball left, but still.
I am a Texas Rangers fan, and I mentioned to you earlier that that's really how I fell in love with broadcasting, listening to guys like Eric Nadell and Mark Holt, who did the broadcast back then, kind of broadcasting heroes in my mind. But you're right, they're off to a slow start. But the good news is that's just 3 games into a 162-game season.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's time to hit the panic button quite yet.
All right. Well, we want to thank Matt Stolz again for coming and talking to us. We really appreciate it, and we want to thank you guys for watching.
Thank you so much.